Want to buy a team? RRR we can call it. Blockbuster, Ravi and Ronak's Royals.
We should have
No?
London Royals would be a great name for a team.
London Royals. I'm going to read this statement in two styles. Here's style one, matter of fact. IPL teams and international stars in informal contract discussions. Now here's style two, add a little sinister, scary music of it. IPL teams and international stars in informal contract discussions. Tom Moody will make sense of it. Matt Roller will add the ECB's perspective. No, he won't. The ECB doesn't even listen to him. And look who's here. RJS. Do you know what that stands for?
I think it's Ravi, isn't it?
Well done. Ravi Shankar Jayadritha Shastri is here. But this is not Ravi and Ronak, so we'll be serious. Yep. I need to first understand, what does this mean? Tom Moody, is this a good thing that's happening? Is it inevitable? Please make sense of it.
I think firstly it's inevitable. We've seen that slowly shift over the last couple of years when we've seen IPL teams look to buy other franchises around the world. The reason it's starting to be talked about is because each IPL team are looking to get a bigger footprint in the game. It may not be financially beneficial for them to be doing that, but they're looking at the long-term benefit of having a greater stake of time in the game in the calendar year.
I'm so inspired by Ravi, I forgot Dustin's behind him. Dustin, sorry, you're also in this, Dustin. You also have to ask the key question. So, wait, now, if we take this to its natural course, Ravi, Trent Bolt is one of the high-profile examples of a freelance cricketer. Are we possibly looking at more freelance cricketers? And is that a good thing given the health of bilateral cricket anyway?
Definitely. It's inevitable that it's going to go that direction, because look at the volume of people in this country. We have 1.4 billion only. Only 11 can play for India. So what do the others do? What do the other 60, 70 do? If they have an opportunity, to play white ball cricket, and it's their strength globally across, different franchises around the world, they'll grab that opportunity. It's common sense. It's their living. It's their income.
As things stand,
and nobody will be able to deprive them if they're not contracted by the BCCI.
Right.
What stops them going anywhere?
The one thing that will happen here is certainly boards will want to pay their premium stars more, and the ECB said that to that effect, that if we have to compete with this, we clearly need to start paying our players more. So what else is going to happen?
Well, I think this is as much as anything about formalising something that's already happening. We see a lot of players already. If you think of Andre Russell and Sunil Narayan as good examples, they're playing for 3 different Knight Riders teams under 3 different contracts. It's basically about turning that into a 12-month contract.
So this is basically an HR exercise.
Yeah, it's making sure they have the right dental plan and pensions are all in the same pot rather than 3 different ones, isn't it?
Same standard per diems across the year. Yeah. Okay, this is one thing that it normalizes what already exists. Dustin, what else does this do for us?
Well, it guarantees that the franchise can then get a certain player, right? Because there'll be churn every year, there'll be auctions in all the various auctions, so in all the various leagues. So say you have a star player like Royals have Joss Butler. They might want to guarantee that they'll always have Joss Butler at the PAL Royals as well, or at the Barbados Royals. And so then this contract solidifies that, okay, this player is not going to be, maybe you won't have the same kind of auction systems, or you'll have a joint auction perhaps.
I don't think that'll happen purely because of the international calendar, because everyone's availability is different throughout different times of the year. It does make sense for the Joss Butler example that you have that brand and you carry that globally.
What you've got to remember is that the reason that these franchises have bought teams in other countries is because they're expecting the Indian cricket watching public to watch those leagues.
Right.
So that's why you want the same players that you have in the IPL also playing for those teams, because they're not buying teams in the South African T20 league because they think that it's going to explode in South Africa. They're expecting that the IPL watching public will also watch that league.
I just wonder whether there'll be a time where the BCCI would consider that second tier or third tier players that are connected to franchises here, IPL franchises, thinking, well, we can benefit here. This is a win-win. I can release Tilak Verma, who's a young player, who's an emerging player. I'm talking about that level of player.
Okay, the younger ones,
that type of player. I want him to play in the Caribbean League. I want to play him in
the Big Bash.
ILT20, the Big Bash, because I want him to get the experience of playing in those conditions, being in that environment, because then they come back a better prepared player for when they do play for India. They're a step ahead.
Younger players like the idea? Tilak Verma play Big Bash?
Nothing like getting exposure. You know, but
Yeah.
how much do they want to protect their own league? So, you got to see where they will come from, and rightly so. This is our league. To protect this league is paramount as far as our interest goes. But by letting certain players go, it's not going to affect the league in any way.
Couple of ways that it can financially, I guess, benefit the BCCI, Ravi. I mean, one is, of course, if they actually charge a fee to release players to play in other leagues, but also because now you have franchises who've owned the teams in IPL and elsewhere, you're also increasing the value of the IPL franchise, right? Like if you sell a new franchise tomorrow and the people bidding know that, okay, I can buy this franchise in the IPL and I can also maybe buy a franchise in a couple of other leagues and I can use the same player across those leagues, you're increasing the value of that IPL franchise.
If this goes through and the international players go the Russell or the Trent Bolt way, and they say, we'll keep our bodies fit for these 5-6 months or 4 months that we need to play for franchises, and we'll obviously, it'll come at the cost of bilateral cricket. You can't help but thinking bilateral cricket will either become second tier or redundant or not be played amongst the lesser teams. As someone who achieves so much with bilateral cricket, what does the game lose? Do you really feel, I feel a sense that, yeah, we've lost something if bilateral cricket doesn't happen, but is it something you feel?
I've always said, the bilateral cricket will suffer. There's no question about that. With the league spreading around the world, it's going to go the football way, for sure. The teams will assemble just before a big World Cup, right? Play a little bit of bilateral against
So the
each
clubs
other.
will release players
Clubs
for
will
international.
release players for
Not
that,
the
and you play the big mega World Cup. So it's going to go that way in the long run, whether you like it or not.
Do you like it or do you feel bad?
No, I don't feel bad at all. I think one of the three faculties of the game will suffer, and I think it'll be 50 over 50.
The reality tells me there's only going to be a few countries that are going to be playing Test cricket and a small window of Test cricket throughout the pockets of a calendar year. That's as simple as that. And the rest are going to focus on white ball cricket. And I'll add another format that may replace 50 over cricket, and that's T20. I see that as a potential game, not changer, but a movement towards the next step ahead for the IPL to consider if they're wanting to expand what is an incredibly successful property.
My wild idea is that could it possibly have bilateral franchise series? MI plays CSK, whichever bunch is available, Indians, South Africans, whoever.
Nobody's ever
play
thought
in
of
the
that,
US,
Ronak.
play
I
in
mean, Kerry
Qatar.
Packer
I
didn't
did ask
exist.
him to be sensible.
Why not? Why not? No.
Your imagination is running wild, but I'll tell you, that's can happen. That can happen. It could be a case of Mumbai Indians playing KKR in the United States of America.
Could be in Saudi, Qatar. anywhere.
It could well happen.
Will we see them get sink their teeth into the Big Bash and the 100 as well?
Who?
The IPL owners. Can it happen? Right now their imprint is on.
As soon as it's on the market
Yes.
and available, they will be bang.
I don't think the
In like
BBL
a
franchises
flash.
are for sale.
No, if at some
I mean,
point the
that's
board may
statement.
decide we need to
Right.
disinvest.
Definitely. Once that opens up, no question.
The ECB's line on that has always
Yes.
been, oh, they're not for sale, and no one has ever believed a word that's been said about it.
Well, I think the smart play there is both countries, England and Australia, combining both the two properties. 8 teams join up. So, for instance, you've got Sydney Sixers with London Spirit. That is one property. So one owner will buy both those properties. That would be, to me, the smart play. Then you have the continuity of having the English players available for that league and the Australian players available for that league.
Fantastic. Tom Moody, Ravi Shastri, thank you very much. Dustin, Matt, brilliant. What happens to cricket? We don't know, but we've tried to give you some wild ideas of what it possibly could. This was ESPN Cricinfo Runorder.